Hey everybody, it is Tuesday, June the 27th, 2017. I'm Susan Zartman, a certified health coach with Optavia, and we're going to be doing chapter 13 of Dr. A's Habits of Health book. And it's all about active living inside and out, and talking kind of a difference between physical activity, which physical activity is anytime you're moving. So, hey, I've got some physical activity going on. What do you think? Hey, it works. That's versus exercise, where that's a planned time that's more vigorous and leads to improvements in overall fitness. So anyway, we're going to be talking about active living, and we've been talking about the things that we eat, and that has such a biggest impact on especially weight loss. Now for health, obviously movement is also a really big habit of health, but when you're first starting out and we're converting over to the fat burn process, we kind of limit that. But after you've been on program for about 3 weeks or so, then we want to get you moving more. And so we want to increase the energy expenditure. And on the inside, this actually builds up your mitochondria, which is your energy users in your cells, and also utilizing your natural thermic, the energy burning effective food. And then on the outside, increasing our daily movement. So a couple of ways that we'll be working on upping the energy burning there. And basically, we want to integrate movement throughout your lifestyle gradually and have a plan that's tailored to you. So everyone will be different and enjoy different exercises and different movements, and that's totally fine. Obesity and rigorous exercise. If you are greatly overweight at this point, you aren't going to stay there forever. If you follow our program, you will be melting away and getting to a healthy weight. But, exercise alone is ineffective for weight loss. And we covered some of the science on that earlier. But it can actually be downright dangerous for if you're seriously overweight. I know that, I think every pound you lose is, I heard 5 to 8 pressures a pound on your joints. So if you just even have an extra 20 pounds, think about that. That's an extra 100 to 160 pounds of added pressure on your joints. And, I think I had 137 extra. I don't even want to think about how many extra pounds, gosh, I was carrying a quarter of an extra ton every step I took. That's crazy. So anyway, that's why we want to work on movement rather than really vigorous exercise. And you think about the 3 day a week workout. A lot of people have that, I'll work out 3 days a week. But why is that inefficient for weight loss? But it's great for health. It's nothing wrong with intense muscle burning workouts as long as you're in shape and you can do them. They're just not very efficient at creating weight loss. Think of it this way. There are 168 hours in the week. The average 3 day a week workout uses just 2% of those hours. However, when we're talking about the energy management program, where we're doing physical activity, it's going to help you tap into all 168 hours. And intense exercise can be a valuable tool if it's introduced properly and customized to meet each person's availability. So anyway, we're going to talk about the habits of motion, and this is chapter 13, and we're on page 171 if you're following along in your books. And basically, Dr. A's approach to physical activity takes a much broader look at the exercise-focused plans. It's focused on creating habits of active living. And, first we're beginning by stabilizing your healthy weight without doing a lot of heavy lifting and aerobics, and then gradually introducing the habits of motion. And hey, he says you need to learn to crawl before you can walk. And so we're just going to get some basic things kind of built in there and some ideas and ways we can get things going. After the age of 20, you begin losing cells at an ever increasing rate. So hey, you hit 20 and those muscle cells are like going bye-bye. You know what? Even worse, they're replaced with fat cells, and those burn much less energy. So one thing, we talked about your T last week, working on your total energy expenditure. And we're trying to learn a way to increase your total energy expenditure through thermogenesis. And thermogenesis is the process by which the body generates heat or energy. And you do this by increasing the metabolic rate above normal. And this can be activated by a variety of mechanisms, including supplements, nutrition, exercise, and exposure to cold. And activity and exercise have different roles in your system, and introducing each one correctly and in the right sequence is critical to making your new energy plan a permanent habit of health. So the little formula for T was your BMR, your basic metabolic rate, plus your PAL, your PAL, which was your physical activity level, and your TEF, which I think that was the thermal effect of food. So those three things are what made up your T. So starting out with the BMR, your basic metabolic rate, it measures your body's basic function. It counts for the majority of the calories that you expend. On an average, it's between 65 and 70% of your T. And this is calculated when your body is in a neutral resting state, after a night of restful sleep in temperate environment and on an empty stomach. It's the point at which your organs are using the least amount of energy. Because some people think this is a passive measurement, it's assumed that your BMR is difficult to change. However, nothing could be further from the truth. In fact, as the biggest component of our metabolic pie, BMR offers us a wonderful opportunity to tap into a thermogenic energy source that burns energy 168 hours a week. How? By ingeniously increasing the activity level and even the size of your organs to boost energy consumption. And we're going to look at two of the organs that are open to this process and have the biggest appetite for calories. Do you know what those two organs are? I wouldn't have guessed. Your muscles and your brain. Hey, exercise it, right? So muscles in your basic metabolic state. This is like the energy your muscles are using when you're lying in bed in the morning dreaming about sleeping in. Unlike your bones, immune system, lungs, and other organs whose energy requirements are fairly fixed, the basic metabolic contribution from your muscle varies. And most of that variation, 75%, is based on how much lean body mass you have. And he talks about how it comes down to the tiny mitochondria, the little energy factories in your cells. And those mitochondria work very hard taking the nutrients you consume and convert them into energy to power the machinery of our cells. In the case of our muscle cells, the mitochondria are highly influenced by the work the particular muscles are performing. And each pound of muscle consumes around 50 to 70 calories a day. Got that? A pound of muscle, 50 to 70 calories per day, just your resting level. Fat, on the other hand, consumes a whole lot less than 10% of the energy that muscle uses. So less than 10% would be less than 5 to 7 calories. So that fat's not doing a whole lot for you in a lot of ways. Anyway, it's when your energy expenditure decreases, fat accumulation increases. So that's why the increase of muscle mass is so important. It says one way you can do is lower your room temperature to 68 degrees. Being in a cooler environment is one way you can increase your BMR and help burn more calories. And if you you'll also suffer from fewer respiratory issues and burn less fuel. So you'll be helping the planet while you help yourself. Anyway, let's keep going here. And then your brain and your BMR. Do you know your brain accounts for about 25% of your BMR, the basic metabolic rate? What's more, the amount of energy consumption decreases with age as our brain atrophies, just like our muscles. That is, unless we do some active interventions. Researchers are systematically unraveling the hidden secrets of the brain, including ways to keep our brain healthy and our memory intact. One of the most important discoveries that come up is that our brain cells and neurons have an amazing ability to develop in size and connectivity as we age. Good news, huh? Activating new pathways and engaging in new activities are important ways to exercise your brain. Just by learning the habits of health, you're already stimulating your brain by exchanging previous behaviors with new healthy cognitive activities. And that's just the beginning. Even changing the way you do simple everyday activities, brushing your teeth with the opposite hand, for example, or driving home using a different route. It stimulates the brain and actually increases your metabolic rate. Another important way to stimulate brain waves and increase energy consumption is to tap into music and motion. In fact, combining music and rhythmic motions, such as dancing or rowing, can improve many aspects of our health, increasing, even decreasing systematic inflammation. So hey, crank up the tunes and get moving. It's a good thing. Let's see what else here. You know what? Having responsive lean muscle is critical to maintaining healthy levels of insulin and glucose. And that unhealthy insulin and glucose levels are a big contributors to the whole range of diseases. So that's why the loss of muscle mass and strength is a big focus on your journey to optimal health. And then, of course, physical activity accounts for 25 to 30% of your total energy expenditure. And it's the part that's the easiest to change. And so movement is made up of two parts. Like we talked at the beginning about planned physical activity, what you're probably thinking of as exercise, and the voluntary and unconscious movements you make as part of your everyday life. So he talks about EAT and NEAT, E-A-T and N-E-A-T. EAT is exercise activity thermogenesis. That consists of the planned physical activities you perform in order to increase your energy expenditure and improve your overall fitness. It's what we do when we say, I'm working out. These happen when anything from just minimal tasks to Herculean tasks, like Lance Armstrong expending 9,000 calories at the Tour de France. But despite all our talk of exercise today, for the vast majority of us, EAT is actually negligible. In fact, exercise enthusiasts will find that EAT's contribution to daily calorie consumption pales in comparison to the power of NEAT. What is NEAT, you ask? I'm glad you asked. NEAT is non-exercise activity thermogenesis. This consists of voluntary and unconscious movements we make throughout going about our daily lives. You do it by working, doing chores, or just going through the silly motions that happen. Gosh, you know, I have this little like stress ball, the little peanut thing from Crema. Do that, or by tapping your foot, or by spinning your hands. Or my sister got a fidget spinner, like keep you going. Anything that you kind of do a little emotion while you're doing stuff, it'll just kind of, hey, you up that little stuff. That all plays into your NEAT. And NEAT is highly variable, ranging from about 15% of your T in very sedentary people to more than 50% in people who are highly activity. So two areas are work time and non-work time. And our society has a decreased activity level that results in a decreased NEAT. It's been blamed to a great extent from a shift from manual labor to sedentary desk jobs. Think about what our grandparents did. You know, they were out there in the fields and had to do a lot of things by hand that we have automated. And looking beyond our workplace to our cars, remote control, snow blowers, elevators, and a myriad of other labor-saving devices, no wonder we're turning to something along the lines, those muscle-atrophied Star Trek creatures with huge heads and marshmallow bodies. And then the compounding effects of those small daily choices, they have more impact on weight maintenance than any exercise program. Formal exercise, including weight resistance training, circuit training, and aerobic exercise, it's great for your health. And we're going to introduce that later as you aim for the summit of optimal health. But in terms of weight maintenance, it's just icing on the cake. So anyway, we'll keep doing that. And then the other interesting thing, he talked about the thermic effect of food. And one thing he talked about was even drinking ice water. Do you know that by switching your daily dose of water, which you should be having at least 8-ounce glasses of water, the goal is half of your body weight in ounces up to 100 ounces. But if you change it to ice water, that can actually burn an extra 74 calories a day. That may not seem much, but it adds up to a whopping 7.7 pounds of fat per year. Not to mention that too little water can lead you to sugar cravings, fatigue, irritability, and foggy thinking. And dehydration significantly slows down fat burning. Those are some good reasons to up the amount of water you're drinking and toss in some ice cubes. But anyway, like BMR, this third component of T, the TEF, thermic effect of food, this is the energy that you use digesting and processing your food. It's usually considered a fixed quantity that's not easy to change. But like BMR, it can be modified to boost your total energy consumption. Things like the timing of your meals, the amount of food that you eat, and the content of your food all have a big effect on the energy expenditure. So here's a few ideas. Eat every 3 hours. Hey, this is a great habit of health, and it may actually contribute to an increase. That's why in our program, hey, every 2 to 3 hours, we're doing another fueling and keeping that metabolism going. Choose lean protein. Protein is a complex fuel that must be broken down into amino acids before it can be used. That takes energy, almost twice as much energy as your food uses to process carbohydrates and fats. Twice. So that's why protein is really good. You want to make sure you get your protein in there. And drink cold water. We just talked about that. Just 1 8-ounce glass of ice water burns 9.25 more calories than drinking a glass of room temperature water. And seek out naturally thermogenic foods. Several naturally occurring substances increase your food expenditure, including caffeine, polyphenolic compounds that are found in green tea, and capsaicin. These are found in red pepper, mustard, ginger, and cinnamon. Other substances with the thermic effect include selenium, chromium, alpha-lipoic acid, L-carnitine, L-tyrosine, and calcium carbonate. And we're going to discuss those farther on. But anyway, now hopefully you have a little bit more understanding of your three components, the BMR, your body's metabolic rate, the POW, your activity level, and TEF, the energy you use to burn foods, and how these can be used to increase your total energy expenditure. Anyway, what are you going to do today? You got some activities? Hey, park your car a little bit farther. Wash your dishes by hand. Hey, if you can find the on and off switch or the channel changer on your TV, walk when you do that. Any of those kind of things that you can do, think of some things that might make a difference. Hey, I find that playing the piano, it's good little exercise. You can put steps on my Fitbit sometimes if I'm really active. How can you be doing things to increase your brain cells and your connectivity? My midlife crisis was learning to play the harp. And there may be something new. What do you want to try? Is there something you haven't done before? Or maybe you want to learn to play the piano or read a different kind of book and get active. There's even a little app called Luminosity, and they've got some little exercises and things you go through that you develop, and they've done some scientific things about the different brain things that it can expand. It's kind of interesting. But anyway, make it a healthy week. Everything that we do and all the healthy choices we make, they add up, and it's huge. Anyway, thanks for joining me, and have a great week. Bye-bye.